Hello to you, my Cosmic Dragon friends, coming on here again with a bit of an update for you. There's a collective reading, and just to let you know what I've been up to and where I've been, because I'm conscious that I've been kind of absent for about 6 months, but I'm back. It's all good. Okay, so let's get some angel cards. Let's get some themes for today before I even start talking. What's going on in the collective today? Vision, fertility, peace. You know, as that was upside down, I thought that said farce, which I could also take. A farce. Dear, a lot of things seem like a farce at the moment as well. But yes, vision, fertility, and peace. Oh goodness, don't we need peace? I feel like I was talking about that a lot in one of the last readings I did. Which one was it? The angel messages one. If you haven't seen that, I'll try and remember to link that above. So yeah, there's a few changes going on with me at the moment. So my diary is officially open for the month of December 2025. So depending on when you're watching this, it may well be open anyway. So please do go along to my website and have a look if you want to book in for a session with me, for a reading or for a healing session or for anything else, to be honest. I've got all kinds of stuff on there, all kinds of different types of readings for all sorts of different situations and different pricing scales. So exciting news as well is I have started working with Neal's Yard as an independent consultant. Now, if you don't know Neal's Yard, I won't go on about this for very long, but they sell, well, they actually produce organic aromatherapy products, which I'm very, 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 very impressed by. And they're very local to me as well, because the farm where they actually grow their plants is based in Gillingham in Dorset, so literally right on my doorstep. But they are all organic. They are approved by the Soil Association. They've got Leaping Bunny certification, vegan approved, Fair Wild, carbon neutral. It's just an all-round amazing company that does very high quality organic essential oils and essential oil products. I'll just show you a few of the bits that I've got in my starter kit here that I got from them. So really, really nice stuff. I mean, this lovely hand cream, facial cleansers, and a lot of the things as well, which I find particularly interesting, is a lot of their products come in these blue glass bottles, which is fantastic. So there's a lot less plastic in their wrapping and their packaging than you might used to be seeing. They've got these gorgeous creams. The frankincense range in particular is really good for more mature skin. Not that I need that, of course. I'm 21. They're really lovely. They do also sell the essential oils on their own. This is an essential oil remedy. It's a roll-on remedy for women's balance, which is absolutely gorgeous. So they've also got a decent mother and baby range as well, which is nice to see, because mother and baby products tend to be absolutely filthy when it comes to the chemicals that they put in them. I mean, seriously, that baby products, when I was working as a consultant for Arbonne, I've done the rounds a little bit with the beauty companies. I've worked for a few of beauty and health companies, because that is an interest of mine. That is something I've always been passionate about. When I worked for Arbonne, in my training, the training was extensive, they taught us that baby products are some of the dirtiest ones on the market, so you've got to be really careful when you're choosing them, because you could be putting really filthy chemicals onto your most precious thing in your life. So that's something to bear in mind. But I will be featuring those in due course. I might be giving some away as well, so pay attention. And if you're interested in buying any of those products, and they're absolutely gorgeous, I absolutely love them, I will put a link in the description below to my Neal's Yard independent consultant shop, and you can buy directly through me and I get the commission, which would be awesome. So thank you so much in advance if you choose to do that. I think I can only ship to the UK though, so if you're outside the UK, I'm not sure if you'll be able to buy, but by all means have a look. By all means have a look. So, because you might win something in the future. Through me, not through Neal's Yard. Okay, so lots going on. I wanted to come on and do a collective reading because the energies have been very interesting of late. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the collective. Everything's kind of going a bit crazy right now, isn't it? There's a lot of information coming to light, and on the world stage, and it is a stage, let's be honest. A lot of crazy things that we're hearing about that I think a lot of us already knew and were just having confirmed for us, like, oh yes, I did think that politician had done this, or that was going on behind the scenes, and we kind of knew all of this, and it's like everything finally bubbling up to the surface, coming up to light after it being hidden And I think because of that, the powers that should not be, or the powers that were, as I like to call them, that are still kind of just about hanging on to the control of the world by their fingertips, they are trying to distract us with all kinds of nonsense at the moment, all kinds of difficulties, all kinds of scandals. They will throw everything at us right now. They're also doing a lot of destructive work in the world. James always says, that's Mr. Moderator, always says they're pulling the train tracks up behind them because they know they've lost. They know they're on the run. They're basically on the run, trying to grab as much as they can right now, trying to grab as much gold as they can and tearing up the train tracks just to cause as much destruction, partly out of spite, because these are very dark beings, very dark people that worship and are connected to very dark energies which are not very nice or pleasant. And I don't mean dark as in dark being bad, but as in ignorant. They come from an ignorant place where they lack empathy. And I mean, I've thought for years that's why the ruling classes always send their sons to very specific schools, which are notorious for doing terrible things to the boys that go there, which I won't say the words because we're on YouTube and I don't want to get in trouble. But I'll let you use your imagination as to what goes on in those particular private schools like Eton. And that's how you create psychopaths. And well, not psychopaths. Psychopaths are born. Sociopaths. Sociopaths are created, aren't they? That's how you create sociopaths. That's how you create people with these horrible character flaws who will do terrible things to other people because they lack empathy. That is one of the defining traits of a sociopath. They lack empathy. They don't care how much they hurt somebody else. And you can get people like that to do anything you want. If you're in control of them, there is no limit to what they will do and how far they will go because they just don't feel empathy for other people. Makes them very dangerous. It's almost like reptilian training school. Reptiles don't have any empathy either. They don't form social bonds like mammals do. So it's almost like anti-human, anti-mammal training, turning them into reptiles on some level, which is very harmful and very, very sad. Bad for them as well, because obviously they're not going to be happy people after that. They're going to be pretty messed up and have pretty stressful, unpleasant lives, but perhaps in the lap of luxury. So I don't know, that's the trade-off, isn't it? That's what I've thought for a while, and that does seem to be being confirmed by some of the information that's come out recently. So see what you think anyway. Comment below, tell me what you think about that. So what's going on in the collective? What do we need to know? What do we need to see? What do we need to hear? What do we need to think about? I'm using a very interesting tarot deck today called the Tarot of Curious Creatures, which I love, and it is so weird. It's so cool. Right. 9 of Pentacles, the Fool, 3 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, 5 of Cups. Yeah, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Yep, there it is. It's interesting because in many ways I can see the what's happening on the macro level here, or on the wider level, particularly in my country, and you know, and in others as well. But it's like we want to go places and we can't. Everything's slowing down. Everything's getting expensive. Everything is becoming more difficult, more challenging when it doesn't need to be. But it's making our progress slow down, and perhaps the plans we had for the future are getting more difficult. And we may be losing hope. We may be losing motivation somewhat that perhaps we had before when we believed that we could achieve, that we could do greater things, we could have greater things. And that's tough. It's tough to live through times like this. And I've said it time and time again, and I will keep saying it. This is a really difficult time to be incarnated on Earth. This is not an easy time. This is not an easy epoch that we're living through. This is a very frickin' difficult one. And I feel almost like with the Vision card being above the Fool, and it is literally about sight. There's like an eye test chart here on the wall that says soul, sight, future. And being above the Fool card, which is about taking a leap into the unknown and perhaps being a little bit foolhardy, but taking that leap and being brave enough to do that and trusting in the universe enough. I feel like we still have to keep moving forwards. We still have to trust that the universe will be there to catch us regardless. It doesn't matter what sort of tricks that people in power try to play on us, or how they try to get one over on us. I want to say if we're staying in the right energy with the right vision, we won't be affected as much as we might have been otherwise. We will not be affected, okay? We may be, to some degree, mostly externally and mostly superficially, but stay in that right energy. Keep thinking ahead, keep visioning your future as you want it to be, and it will happen, because it cannot. It can't not. It can not. No, it can. No, it cannot. No, it can't not. There we go. That's the words I was looking for. It can't not. Okay. If we have that vision clearly and we decide where we're going to go, it has to happen one way or another. The universe will decide how. But people trying to demoralize us and put obstacles in our way just won't really affect us as much as we would think they would. So right now, despite everything that's going on, we need to keep planning the future. We need to keep visioning the future that we want for ourselves, for our children, for our grandchildren, for our society. We need to hold our heads high, and we very much need to stay positive as much as possible. Not as in, oh, everything's fine, because objectively a lot of things are not fine right now. I'm not saying don't acknowledge what's happening. What I'm saying is stay positive despite what's happening. Know that better things are coming. Know that we can achieve more together. That collectively, when we put our mind to something, we will manifest it for ourselves. You know, individually and collectively, that works on both levels, and that's very important to remember. We must not lose hope. We must not allow ourselves to be so demoralised that we acquiesce to the controller class who want to put us under lock and key with their ridiculous ideas like digital ID and central bank digital currencies, etc. No. And more I see people who all they want to do is just have a little homestead or a small holding somewhere, and live, sort of semi-autonomously, growing their own food, perhaps having animals, being much more connected to the land, investigating home remedies and herbal remedies. Again, that's partly why I've been moving more and more into, I guess, training as a naturopath in some respect, because I've done more and more training over the years, and this has been building for me for a long time. I always knew I wanted to go in that kind of direction. I just didn't realise how far I was going to go with it. I've been training in foraging and herbs and remedies that come with those, and most recently with Neal's Yard as well. That came about because I wanted to get back into natural health, but I also have wanted for a while to learn properly about aromatherapy, and that's my journey specifically. And I am actually doing a professional aromatherapist course at the moment. So at some point in the future, I will be able to offer proper consultations. I will be able to help and provide a lot more insight and information. I know something about essential oils now because I do use them. I absolutely love them and passionate about them. But yeah, at some point I will be taking that up a notch. And I feel it's really important, and I felt for a long time that was kind of my role within society, was to be that alternative healer who can provide, whether it's lotions or potions or energy healing or just psychic insights to my community. I've always felt that was my role. And it's been difficult to get paid for that, not going to lie. It's been difficult to get paid for that. I have had to do other jobs most of the time as well. Because society isn't set up like that at the moment. But I believe one day it will be. I believe one day we will have a much better design for our society, a much more well thought out way of doing things in our communities, so we're not relying on centralised rules and regulations and very centralised, short-sighted science based on one specific system and no others. There's a lot of room for all sorts of treatments, remedies, other systems of healing to come to the fore, and they absolutely have to, because they have been crushed so badly by people who wanted to make a lot of money, which is very sad. So when people train as doctors, they're only taught one way of doing things, which is very, very backwards in many ways, because all it does is squash symptoms, which does nothing good for the body whatsoever, although you might feel slightly better for a little while, and doesn't actually seek to heal. And that's something we absolutely have to correct as a society in the world. We absolutely have to correct that. But I think that's something that a lot of people are coming to individually and learning about individually as well, finding ways to heal themselves. I was actually in a doctor's appointment yesterday, and I found myself going off on one. Helen, no, you don't go off on one. Yeah, I do all the time. I can't believe that. A little bit, because I mentioned that I'd had a diagnosis of viral labyrinthitis in my early 20s, which I did. And the doctor couldn't help me. They told me to go home and wait for it to pass because there was nothing they could do because it's a virus. Now, I actually found solutions to that and found something that would help to heal me. And one of the therapies that made the biggest difference was Hopi ear candling for me. And thank you to Darcy for introducing me to that. And I actually, since then, I've learned how to do it myself, how to be a practitioner professionally. But again, the doctor didn't have a clue about that because that's something that's not taught to them, and they were very, very interested to hear about it afterwards. They were very interested, like, what worked? What was it? And then a few years ago, I had a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. Okay, most people never get over that. In fact, I don't think I've ever met anyone else who has gotten over that. But I worked closely with a naturopath, a very, very good naturopath and homeopath, and she helped to bring my body back into balance, and I have no symptoms anymore. Because fibromyalgia is not, in my opinion, it's not an illness. It's just it's a name that we use to describe a cluster of symptoms, which, as far as I can see, appear to be due to an imbalance in the body, in the mind, in the energy, in the spirit. It's an imbalance. And she helped me to get myself back into balance, and all the symptoms went. So, yeah. There's a lot more here. Just from my personal experience, I know perfectly well that there are many things that we could be doing differently and perhaps having better outcomes for people. So, anyway, yeah, it's an interesting subject, isn't it? It is interesting, and I think people lose a lot of hope because they're not allowed to have it, or they're told, oh, that doesn't exist, you can't do that. Absolutely, many things exist that we don't know about, that we couldn't possibly conceive of. I mean, there is an infinite number of things that we couldn't begin to imagine from our wildest imagination. And I think it's sad that in many ways we're made, kind of forced to live these very small lives where we feel very restricted, like our possibilities are very small, very restricted, like we're existing inside a tiny matchbox instead of being able to discover the world, like caged birds, being told that there is no outside. Don't know what you're talking about. Birds outside? No, they don't exist. No, you hallucinated them. Anyway, we need to keep visioning because we need to stay optimistic. That's the word, I think. We need to stay optimistic for the future because there are so many wonderful solutions to all of the problems in our world. And if you want any help with manifesting, of course, there's my book that you can read, which is Dream Bigger, How the Law of Attraction Really Works. And this is available on Amazon. You can get the paperback copy, or you can get it on Kindle. Or if you don't use Amazon, or if it's not available in your area, you can download the PDF from my website. Okay. So a dose of optimism is needed. And I feel that it feels almost contradictory to be saying this, particularly because we're in Mercury retrograde. There's a whole bunch of planets going retrograde. I think, is it 6 right now going retrograde? I'm not an astrologer, don't come at me. Feel free to tell me in the comments though, because I don't know. But I know we're in Mercury retrograde at least, or at least in the shadow of it. And it feels like a very fertile time right now to be moving forwards with ideas, despite how everything looks. It's almost like we have to have this unwavering faith to move forwards, to still plan for our future, to have dreams, to have big ideas, to have positive, happy, exciting ideas so that we keep manifesting better things for ourselves. And that goes on the individual level, but it also helps at the collective level too when we do that. It's not a selfish thing, to manifest a better world. It's absolutely not, because everyone gets to benefit from that. And it's not a selfish thing to do your own healing either. In fact, that's incredibly important. We must do our own healing work, whether it's in therapy, whether it's energy healing, whether it's taking better care of ourselves, getting rid of unhelpful thought patterns in our mind through meditation. It can be so many things, and it can be so simple. But I always say, whenever we heal ourselves, particularly emotionally, spiritually, We're healing the collective at the same time. It's not just for us, because we are all connected. How could we not be healing everyone else at the same time? On some level, you are affecting everyone else with everything that you do, because we are all one. And I know that's a very, very big concept for us humans to try and get our head around, and I don't fully understand it, but I know it to be true. Yeah. The Moon and the Eight of Cups. Okay. Yeah, it's time to leave behind the darkness, time to leave behind the insecurity, the insincere wishes of those who don't want the best for us. Those interesting words just came through. Okay. I'm channeling a little bit now. Those were not my words. Yeah. There are many people who do not want the best for us, and they are the ones who've been part of the controller class, who've been trying to put us under lock and key, to stop us from growing, stop us from progressing, and to stop us from seeing who we actually are. Because humans are very, very gifted beings. We're already very gifted, but we don't get a chance to even recognise our gifts, let alone work on them. You know, how would you know that you're a talented musician if you never had access to musical instruments, or you were never taught to sing, or you never heard music? How would you know? Which is a really good question. How would you know that? How would you know that you could bring joy to so many other people through music if you had no access to it, or if you were told that it was not permitted, it was forbidden, or it doesn't exist? Music doesn't exist. Don't be ridiculous. Okay. And it's the same with many of our abilities, our higher abilities as human beings. We're told ridiculous lies like, oh, magic doesn't exist. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, astrology is a load of rubbish. Okay, so why does the royal family of my country work with astrologers, and why do all high-level politicians and royals all work with them? Oh, and guess what? They all get homeopathy as well. They all go and see naturopaths. They all go to Switzerland and get, the remedies that we're told are a load of rubbish and don't work. Why would that be? The people with the most money, power, and influence in the world, who seem to live a very, very long time and only have the best of everything, why are they doing it if it doesn't work? And I think there are many questions to be asked here. There is much reflection to do, I think, and perhaps time to put aside any arrogance that we may have picked up in believing that things didn't exist, or that we were told by society, by the news, God, I hate the news, or by mainstream media, or even by some of the alternative media. They're not perfect either, They tend to try a bit harder and do actual journalism. However, they're not perfect. And very often they have their own slant on things. They have their own prejudices, perhaps coming from religious dogma, for example, which is very restrictive. Religious dogma is terribly restrictive. And it's a shame, because in my country, we were kind of starting to throw off the shackles of religion. Christianity was becoming less important as I was growing up. It was something that was kind of, you knew about, and it was taught in school, but most people weren't really into it. Most people weren't interested in following dogmatic rules. We can all agree with some of the basics, which are obviously common sense, like don't kill people. Well, yeah, well, duh. It's pretty obvious that you shouldn't be doing that. Don't steal. Well, yeah. Okay. It's interesting, actually, and not to pick on Christianity specifically, but that is the religion I've had the most experience with, shall we say, had foisted upon me against my will, which never creates a happy relationship, does it? Being forced into something you don't necessarily want to do or don't agree with. I didn't agree with a lot of what we were taught at school. Oh, this Bible story says this, and you're bad if that. And I'd be like, what on earth are you talking about? That sounds pretty nasty. We've all got our own examples of that. And again, you could argue it's about interpretation, but it never resonated for me. However, there was a lot foisted upon us at school, and we were told and sort of taught certain beliefs based on that baseline. So we had that as like a kind of a spiritual baseline. And there's very little opportunity to go in any other direction other than to another mainstream religion. Very, very mainstream, you know. They were kind of presented as the only options, and none of them really seemed to chime with anyone when I was younger. I mean, there were so few people that I knew in my class at primary school, for example, who were religious, whose families were in any way religious. They just really weren't interested. And we were kind of starting to wake up to the wider spiritual world, and it got really interesting. It was starting to get really interesting, and it has continued to get more and more interesting as more information comes to light, as people sense their spiritual roots, the spiritual roots of our land, our countries. And that's been really wonderful to see, kind of this this genesis of new waves of thought based on old energies that we're remembering how to tap into, and finding the old books, the old documents, the old ways. And reinventing them as well in the new energy that we're working. And it's very, very exciting time to be, and very exciting to see. It's not easy. It's not an easy epoch, but it is a very interesting one. And there is a lot to interrogate here, I think, with our beliefs. And that's a message I want to give to everyone this week. What beliefs are you choosing to hold on to that are holding you back? What beliefs do you need to let go of that will help you to achieve higher levels of success, happiness, mastery in your life? Okay, it can be something as simple as there isn't enough money to go around. I mean, that is a belief that a lot of people have. As far as I can see, they keep printing more, which doesn't help. There is more than enough for everyone, just the few tend to hoard it, and that's the problem. There's more than enough of everything in this world to go around, but we can't see that because of hoarding, because of things being skewed and being lied to as well. There's way more positivity in the world than there is negativity, but we don't get told about it. We don't get told about it. I know a friend told me once that a journalist, quite sort of high-level Wall Street journalist? No, what's it called? Fleet Street? Is that where the journalists hang out? Is it Fleet Street in London? Anyway, not that it matters, but they said that for every bad piece of news you see in the mainstream media, there are 10 good stories that were repressed that just weren't reported on. Because bad news sells. Bad news sells newspapers or gets clicks. And that's really sad. So that's the message very much for this week. What do we need to leave behind? What thought patterns do we need to leave behind? What beliefs do we need to perhaps question and look at and reconsider? What is holding us back? What is stopping us from achieving our goals, from becoming the person that 5-year-old us firmly believed we were going to be? When did we lose that? When did we forget who we really were? When did we lose faith in ourselves? And it happens kind of over time, like death by paper cuts. And it's time for us to start reversing that now, because the energy is in a good place, and it can take us to a place of greater peace within ourselves, within our communities. And then once we can reach there, we'll see the peace emanate out into the wider world as well. That is important. We must lead by energetic and spiritual example right now. I think that's very, very, very important for all of us to try and do. I'm going to leave those there. We get a couple more. Yeah. Oh, 3 more. Oh, 4 more. Oh, look at that. Responsibility. Yes, we all carry a great responsibility to be enthusiastic. Freedom. Forgiveness. Yeah. Yeah, and when I talk about forgiveness, I mostly want to say forgiveness of self. Let yourself off the hook. You did the best you could. You didn't know. You've just been trying to get by all of this time. It's all right. You're doing your best. It's okay. But freedom, and you'll notice this angel is going skinny dipping. Fortunately, I think it's too small for the AI to pick up on and give me a strike for nudity, but you never know. So I'm just going to pop a little sensor shell on there. Lovely stuff. Okay. So maybe you feel like you need to ask forgiveness from God, from Goddess, from the higher power. Maybe you feel like you haven't been working in ways that help people. Maybe you feel guilty for doing things that harm others and just trying to get by. Because sometimes we do. You know, it's difficult, but that's okay. It's all right. We can do better. I remember when I was at school, there was a girl in my class and her dad worked for one of the big tobacco companies. So obviously they were minted. He was a like an inspector or something of the factories where they produced cigarettes. And when I found that out, I was absolutely aghast. You know, I mean, this was the 90s. There were already plenty of campaigns anti-smoking, saying how disgusting it was. And, you know, advertising of cigarettes was banned shortly afterwards, wasn't it? I forget which year that happened because I was quite young. I didn't really notice. But, you know, at school we were told don't smoke. It's disgusting. It make you ill, you know, talking about cancer and all of that. And to find out that her dad worked in that industry and that was why her family had money, I was disgusted. And I probably said something to her about it that probably wasn't very nice. She was my friend, so I wouldn't have been horrible, but I probably said something along the lines of, don't you feel guilty for being a part of that? That's a horrible industry to work in. And she got very angry with me, got very defensive, as you can understand. I mean, to be fair, she was no more than 14, so she didn't control what her father did. But at the same time, I would have felt terribly guilty. I would have felt horribly guilty. About something like that, contributing negatively to the world in such a manner. So there could be things to forgive yourself for, but it's okay. We can always do better. We can make better choices. So responsibility, yeah, that is coming in. It's kind of up to us to take responsibility right now because the adults are not in charge currently. I think we can all agree. Haven't been for a long time, if ever. The adults are not in charge. We must take responsibility on a personal level and a community level as well. But also to remember the enthusiasm card coming out next to it, that all is not lost. You know, everything isn't going to shit, for want of a better word. It looks like it right now because there are people who would like to make that happen, but we don't have to let it. Okay? We don't have to let it. We have to reclaim our freedom, our autonomy, our sovereignty as human beings. And there will be some self-healing, some self-forgiveness needed for many of us in order to do that, in order to trust ourselves. I think a lot of the reason people don't trust themselves is because they know they've made mistakes in the past and perhaps they were punished quite severely for it and not permitted to make mistakes. And generally people tend to be quite humble and quite realistic and think, well, I shouldn't be in charge of the country or area or region or whatever because I wouldn't want to get anything wrong. I can see that would be very difficult to do and I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. But what makes you think the psychopaths in Westminster or in the White House are any better? They are 10 times worse, I can assure you. So there is that. We need to get some perspective, I think, on things here. It's time for a little perspective. Time for some optimism. New beginnings. Friendship. Perhaps new friendships coming in as well. And 7 of Swords. Yes, be aware of the deception. Be aware of the deception. We must come together now as people, human beings, at the societal, cultural level. The village kind of needs to get together and have a little chat. Get to know one another. We need to do what we know is to be right, regardless of what we're told we're supposed to do. I'll just say that again. We need to do what we know to be right, regardless of what we are told to do. The right thing to do is always the right thing to do. Okay? It's always right to do the right thing, regardless of whoever is telling you not to or telling you you're not allowed to do that. So there is this very rebellious energy coming through here, but rebellious with a cause. This isn't rebel without a cause territory. This is very much energetically standing up with righteous indignation and saying no to that which is wrong, and not wishing to control others. That's not the point. You're not looking to knock the master off his perch so that you can be the next master or mistress. That's not the point here. The point is to bring freedom to yourself, to the world. And that's kind of a big ask. We're looking for freedom. Freedom is the message. Freedom is the aim. Freedom is the goal. And the people in power are not going to give up that power easily. It will be a struggle. It will be a back and forth. They don't want to let go of that. But they will. They have no choice, because the energy energetically is turned against them very much, and turns against them with every minute, every second that passes, as we move more and more into the new energy of the age of Aquarius. And the only way that they can really mitigate that is by making us human beings so negative, and by making us so demoralized that we believe that the terrible toxic world they want to create and that they want to implement on us is inevitable. It is not, in any way, shape or form. They are just trying to trick us into manifesting it through our vision, through our lack of peace, through our lack of enthusiasm, through our lack of taking responsibility for our lives. Sometimes you have to break a few rules, break a few laws, because guess what? They're unjust, they're wrong. We have to do the right thing. Okay. So, we're going to go to a different deck now. I'm going to put these away. We're going to go to one of my favourite decks, the Secret Language of Light. Very high level spiritual messages come through this one usually. But let's see what they've got for us today. What do we need to know? What's our collective message? Enlightenment. Well, that kind of covers everything. Enlightenment, 43-7. You see, at number 43, numerologically, you guys know I'm an esoteric numerologist. The blueprint, the vision, the idea that we hold for the world is what creates the world. 3 leads 4. Okay, so, and the reason I say that is because the 3 is on the right-hand side. So this is the 3 energy leading 4 energy. So what we have here is it is our vision that creates the real world, the solid 3D world. Not that there aren't other real worlds in higher dimensions. However, this is the only one that most of us can see and are aware of. It is our vision that creates reality. Look at this flower of life around the earth here. It is our vision that creates all. It is our intention, our vision, that which we believe that comes to pass. 33, soul love. I love that. And 20, soul writing. Oh, yes. We're being asked very much to come from soul at the moment, to come from our higher selves, from our higher energy. I mean, 33 is the number of the Christ consciousness. And yes, we see it a lot when the dark powers are trying to manifest things, because they're using the reverse energy of 33. Every number has a positive and a negative energy associated with it. Most of the time they're using the negative aspect of 33. I want to encourage you to see 33 as actually, remember what it is. It's the sign of the Christ consciousness. It is the number of the Christ consciousness, 33-6. The greater plan for humanity, which comes from the heart. This is huge, okay? Don't be afraid of the number 33 when you see it. Just know that it is powerful, and know that it will enable us to bring that higher consciousness back to earth. It's been missing for some time now. We've missed it. But it will come through. And we can teach others through our kindness, through our righteous actions, through writing as well. For some people here with soul writing, maybe it's time to write a blog. Maybe it's time to write a book. I'm writing my second book right now. You've seen my first one. I won't get it out again. But I am. I'm working on my second book at the moment. So yes, I'm aware that there are messages that clearly need to come through me for whoever will be my audience, whoever will be interested in that, whoever it will touch and reach. So there is a lot that we have to do right now. I feel like there is a responsibility being put on us as the soul groups who are drawn to watch this video. We are being asked to take responsibility for the future of the world, and also not to be afraid, to be enthusiastic about it, to have vision, hold that vision, and to know this is a fertile time. We can create that peace, that freedom. Okay, we can feel released from burden with the forgiveness card there. Don't let the burdens hold you back anymore. It's not necessary. Okay. Very, very powerful time at the moment. So I'm feeling that from this moment, kind of, what is it today? The 25th of November today. The Celtic tree month of Elder begins today. Oh, Grandmother Elder. I do love her. Do love an elder tree. It's a very powerful tree, very feminine energy, and she's very wise. You don't mess with her. I'm feeling right up until the solstice, and I want to say till the 24th of December, I think we're going to be in this very potent energy, which will help us to get going on the next step of our soul's mission, our collective soul's mission on Earth here. So I just want to let everybody know that, I guess. This is our homework right now. This is what my guides are telling me is the work that is to be done. They're not saying if you want to, they're saying this is what needs to be done. This is what is to be done. There's no question about it. There's no if you want to, if you feel like it. No, this is what we're doing. Get on with it. Okay. Well, that was no nonsense. All right. Okay then. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah. If you've been feeling down about the state of the world, please don't. It's okay. It's all right. Yes, of course, they're, the dark powers who are losing their footing right now. Of course, they're pulling at all the stops to mess with us, to make our lives a misery, to make everything difficult, to sow discord among people, to split people down into silly groups who squabble with each other instead of realising who the real enemy is. Of course, they're going to do that. It's divide and conquer, oldest trick in the book. Don't fall for it. Rise above it and see what's really happening. That's what you're being asked to do. And do your soul work. How can you help other people? How can you bring more love, more light, more understanding, more integration to the world right now? And by integration, I mean integration of light and shadow. And the shadow is just that which is hidden and misunderstood. And that is important. And again, I'm going back to the forgiveness card here. So it might be about doing your own healing work right now, doing some shadow work specifically. I've done a lot of shadow work past kind of year or two. And it's very powerful. And once we are no longer afraid of our shadow, we can fully integrate that aspect of ourselves and we become far more powerful. Far, far more powerful. And not just for the sake of power, but for the sake of being whole. That is what we are trying to achieve. Yeah. It's not about being all love and light, because what about the shadow behind you? What about the darkness? No, can't see that, won't acknowledge it. Well, you kind of need to so you can heal it. Your shadow isn't going anywhere. It comes with you everywhere you go. Every time a light shines on you, you've got a shadow. It would be silly to pretend it isn't there. Instead, we can learn how to integrate and use it. Okay. All right. I think that's all the messages my guides wanted to bring through. I do just want to bring in this one here, the 888 acceleration. I'm feeling very strongly about 888. That appeared to me yesterday as a message, so I'm just going to spray a little bit of this with the intention of it receiving anybody who would like to receive this energy as I spray it. So just quietly acknowledge or say yes please if you would like to receive this, or put it in the comments if you'd like to receive the energy of this high vibrational crystal spray. This is from the very wonderful Jenny Powell at Crystal Balance. This one's connected very strongly to the Lionsgate portal energy as well, but I use it for a lot more than that. It's very, very high vibrational energy that helps us with our ascension, that helps us to move into the higher energies of the new age. So I hope that was helpful to you. Please remember, if you're interested in seeing my Neal's Yard shop, which is my independent consultant shopfront, the link is in the description below. So if there's anything that takes your fancy on there, please do purchase it through my link and then I get some commission. I'd really appreciate that because that would be really nice. If you're interested in becoming a Neal's Yard consultant, you can do that through my shop as well. You can work with me. I can tell you all about it. It's awesome. I can teach you what I know about aromatherapy. Maybe you can teach me some things as well. So anyway, until next time, I shall bid you farewell. Please take very good care of yourselves, my friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.